we all kind of already know the Gears story if we're here, right? Like, we all played the trilogy, we all loved that, and then it had a really good ending, and then Judgment happened, and then 4 came out and was kind of weak. We liked the horde mode, but everything else was kind of whatever. And then 5 happened and kind of derailed the series, in my opinion, when it comes down to like the multiplayer. It really does feel like the wall hopping just killed it. And now they've announced 6. Or E-Day, I guess. This isn't technically 6, they're still making that one. But this is what they've been making in the meantime, and it will probably be out within the next couple of years. I'm hoping this year, but probably not. Blah, 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 it doesn't matter. I decided, as a longtime fan of Gears, I've been playing these games since I was a kid. Gears 2 is my personal favorite. I figured I would just kind of talk about the series a bit and just talk about where it's gone and where it could possibly go in the future after 5. And then maybe some like E-Day speculation, because the truth is we don't know much about it, but I do know some stuff. So for those that don't know, just to talk about the future for a minute, the Coalition have already announced they're still working on Gears 6. This isn't like them saying, okay, you guys were right, Gears 5 characters kind of suck, so we're gonna go for the prequel. It's nothing like that. They've just decided to do both. So 6 is still happening, and they've also announced that it is doubling down on the open world stuff. I'm gonna be honest, as a fan of Gears of War, I don't personally think I have heard a single person say that the open world stuff from Gears 5 was good or even okay. I think I speak for everybody when I say that is the dumbest decision I think the Coalition could make. Me and my friend have played like all the Gears games in co-op. We played 5 in co-op whenever it first came out, but when we tried to replay it, we couldn't because the open world segments of Act 2 and 3 are that bad. They are so boring, and they are not what people play the Gears stories for at all. Like, the open world stuff sucked. Okay, that's not all that sucked, but the open world stuff sucked. And to get into like my opinions on Gears 5 for a second, I like Gears 5. I actually did like the game more than I hated it. I played the hell out of the multiplayer when it came out. I maxed out my level like within the first week. I love the game, I really do, but it has a ton of issues, and obviously it didn't really stand the test of time. I thought Act 1 was sick. I thought it was a big improvement on the writing from the first, I guess Gears 4. Like, while in Gears 4, I did not like any of the characters. I thought the trio was boring as hell. I think Gears 5 Act 1 made me like them all way more. I liked Marcus's, like, dynamic with everybody going on. I thought Del and, like, JD had a cool Marcus and Dom thing going on. Then JD and Kate had their thing, but JD was the main staple of it. I think JD was really good in Act 1. I liked the story, what they did with like him having to activate the hammer. Lizzie Carmine was awesome. She was immediately like our favorite, and then, Carmine, so she's dead. But I did like Act 1 throughout the entire act. The ending was also really cool, but the ending also leads to what I didn't like about the game, and that is Kate. I don't like Kate. Nobody I've talked to likes Kate. Me and my friend think we both think she's boring. She's just not that interesting of a character. No, this is not a sexist thing. I don't care about any of that. I play plenty of female protagonists. Kate just kind of sucks. Okay, JD was really cool in Act 1. I thought Act 2 and 3 were obviously really boring. I didn't like JD's character development in Act 3. I didn't like how he just apologized. 3 was whatever. And then Act 4 came along and was really good. It went back to being linear, what it should have been. But then, as the trio finally is back together in a good Gears game, they shot themselves in the foot by making you choose who to survive. It's way too early to kill a character off in this series because we haven't had them all together, and I don't know why they thought that was a good idea in the slightest. Basically, you choose as Kate to either kill Del or JD. Everybody will choose to kill Del, even if you don't like JD, because it's Marcus's son. I don't know why this was a choice, and even like not as a choice, just killing off Del. We haven't had nearly enough time to care about him. They basically made it the equivalent of tie-dyeing, except tie-dyeing was more emotional for me in Gears 2. Imagine if Dom died in Gears 2. You know what I mean? Like, we all felt Dom's death in Gears 3. I still can go back and watch that. People that don't play the Gears games can like that death scene. Whenever Dom died, we get sad. When Del died, I was like, alright. Like, that's kind of fucking stupid, but okay, whatever. It was such a bad design choice for a story. But yeah, I chose JD, obviously. I think JD is a good character versus the other two, and he's also Marcus's son. Who the hell would kill JD? I don't know. My friend did, because, he was like, oh, Del's my homie. I don't care about that. Del sucked. JD was cool. He's gonna live. And I assume Ow, you son of a bitch. I assume most people will agree with me and will be choosing JD going forward, but that kind of leads to the issue of where they're going to take the narrative going forward. I don't know what their plan is from here, and I don't see how they could possibly have a good plan for the narrative going forward in Gears 6. Like, are they gonna go for like a Wolfenstein thing where there's two narratives? If so, obviously neither of those two characters, Del and JD, are gonna get enough screen time because that takes too much work. So either way, you're kind of just not doing them justice. And if you choose a canon death, that's even worse because it's like, why even have the choice? You know what I mean? It's just, I don't see a way out of this one. It really was a bad choice, and the best possible option is just to have JD live. Otherwise, you're gonna have two poorly put together narratives when you could have a good, like, structured narrative. And let's be honest, Del has no reason to live. JD actually has a character arc and a redemption thing going on. It just makes no sense to do this. This shit happened in 2019. Anytime I think about it, I still get mad because it makes no sense, bro. But whatever. Besides all that, I did like Gears 5. I really did. I love the Hive mode, the Hive Busters thing, not the campaign. I don't know who played the expansion thing. No one paid for it. But I genuinely did think that the Hive mode was a really fun thing to do. I had a blast with it. Me and my friends played it a lot. I always played as Emil from Halo because he's a character for some reason in this game. I liked Hive a lot, and I hope they bring that forward in more games. I also really liked the multiplayer at first as a casual. I don't like the monetization system they did. I don't know how it even works to this day. It's just really confusing, but I unlocked the Carmine skin early on for like a zombie Ben Carmine. They also had like a dead Dom skin, which was, who cares about skins really? They had Sarah Connor. I don't know why. I don't know what that was about, but the multiplayer was fun. I think the Lancer played great. Thought most of the guns really felt good to use, but the multiplayer sucked competitively and kind of just died off because they had wall hopping, and it was the worst version of wall hopping in a Gears game. Like, you could just glide across. I'll just show it. You could glide across the screen. It was so annoying to play against, and Nashers with wall hopping dominated the game. Nashers have always been the OP thing for multiplayer. That's, you know, normal, but this wasn't a fun OP thing. It was just like imagine like early Apex days with Wraith mains, but way worse. That's the only way to describe it. It was a genuinely horrible development, and it's the reason why multiplayer is not alive today. Obviously, with all that said, at the time, I did like Gears 5. I haven't replayed it while I've replayed all the other ones besides 4, I guess, and Judgment. That's not true. Okay, I've only replayed the trilogy. Judgment sucked. 4 was bad, and 5 was okay, but the Act 2 and 3 make it just, you're not gonna replay it. You know what I mean? So Gears has kind of been like on the back burner for a lot of us because we don't really have much to think about. Like, the narrative wasn't that good and the multiplayer wasn't good enough. So like, nobody's talked about it in a long time. And I say all that because back in 2023, people were asking, and apparently the JD's voice actor still hasn't heard anything back about the campaign. He doesn't know if he's coming back for the story. This could be an NDA thing. It could just be whatever, or it could be because what we now know is that they were developing E-Day first. They actually had other projects, but they were canceled. But E-Day is coming first, and I'm assuming they just haven't gotten far along in 6 because all their focus has been on this, which is good. E-Day is a very good direction to take the story because none of us care about the story right now. None of us agree with it, but we also don't agree with Halo's story. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like these people just do whatever they want. It's whatever, because E-Day looks cool. There's not much confirmed. Some people were trying to say like they don't know if multiplayer is going to be in it. I'll just tell you right now, it is. I've actually looked it up, and developers have been like, yeah, there's probably multiplayer. Like, why? It's a mainline Gears game. Why would there not be? I get it, because people like play tactics. This isn't a tactics. This is a mainline Gears game. It's going to have multiplayer, but that's really all we know. We know for the story that it's going back to the E-Day. We don't know if it's at the start of E-Day or if it's going to be during the Pendulum Wars and then go into E-Day, if it's going to be a few days into the emergence. I personally would prefer it to be like right at the end of the war. I want to see them walking home and then have the emergence start. I'm very excited to see what we can do with it. While I don't like the Coalition style and narrative lately, they did knock it out of the park in Act 1 and 4, in my opinion, besides like the choice. I did like what they had going on, and there's a lot you can do with Dom and Marcus specifically, especially with Carlos. So Carlos, he was kind of talked about in the books, never in the games. Carlos was Dom's brother that died during the wars, and he was kind of what bridged Dom and Marcus into being friends. So I'm really excited to see like how that works out in this dynamic, to see them like bonding over this death. I want to to see a lot more of the death and the sadness that this brings. I'm curious on what side characters there will be. We don't know if they're going to do like 3 or 4 player co-op like they did with 5. It could go back to Gears 2 where it's just 2 players. I'm fine with that, but I wonder who they'll be. Like the problem I have with prequels is that you know where it goes. You know what I mean? Like we know Dom and Marcus will live, so any new characters are kind of just gonna die or like be hidden until they show up in Gear 6 and they're like, hey, I was here the whole time. You know how it usually works. I kind of hope they go with the they die option, because for Halo it's kind of the same thing where Halo Reach is my favorite Halo game, and even though you know they all die, the way it happens made the characters really good, and I hope we kind of get to see that with like COG soldiers. Probably not a Carmine. I don't know how they do Carmine in this one, but it would just be really nice to see like Dom and Marcus have to deal with a lot of death. As crazy as that sounds. I have hope that this will get rid of wall hopping in the multiplayer. I know I like the story, even if it's not that good. I like the original trilogy. I don't care where the story goes, to be fair. I already had a good ending to it all. I just like the gameplay of Gears, you know what I mean? I like Dom and Marcus, so I will be playing the story. I'll be playing it co-op with my friend. I'm mainly intrigued by how the multiplayer will work. I know it sounds crazy, but I really want a good Gears multiplayer that like stays around. You know what I mean? Gears 5 was fun, but it lasted like 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like I want an Apex Legends, but Gears, if that, not a battle royale, just, you know what I mean, like popular. Like I want a fun Gears of War that is balanced and doesn't feel like shit because you're not wall hopping everywhere. I hope they can fix that, but I don't know how they do it besides just getting rid of like the wall hop canceling. But I'm curious on what everybody else thinks about that. Do you think they will get rid of wall hopping? Do you think wall hopping was good? Maybe you liked it and you're a part of the problem. And where do you think Gears goes beyond E-Day and 6? Like we know 6 is happening. They've already confirmed that. It's being worked on. It won't be canceled. This isn't BioWare. They're fine. But where do you think we go? You know what I mean? With the way 5's narrative has been going, do you think they'll just end it and be good? Or do you think this is going to be like a thing where they're like, we can go forever and constantly bring back Lambit now? Like, where do you think the story will go? Because I don't know. I would rather it be done and they just make like a Gears Infinite or some shit. You know what I mean? Where it's just like pure multiplayer that gets updates and fixes. I don't care about the story anymore at all. I don't like it. Same with Halo. I don't like the Halo storyline. I haven't liked any 343's Halo stories. Infinite was supposed to be okay-ish. I honestly did not like it. It's useless to me. I just want multiplayer. Infinite was good multiplayer, and I hope that they kind of do more with that in the next Halo if they make another one. We don't even know if they will, I guess. But that's kind of where I'm at with Gears. I don't care about the story. I don't see where it could go, and I don't want it to go anywhere. I would rather they just stop and let it lie, because Gears already had its story, and there's not much lore to make new stories. You know what I mean? Like, E-Day is the perfect way to go. It is the one thing all of us have wanted to see, but where do we go now? And I don't have an answer for that. So maybe you do. Maybe you're like, oh, here's my perfect Gear 7 story. It's like, oh wow. Or maybe you're also in agreement that there's no story left to tell and we should just do multiplayer. But let me know. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about Gears for a minute. I love these games, and it's a shame seeing all these like older 360 classics get like constantly rebranded. I don't like it. I'd rather we just have good stuff. But anyways, we're not getting any younger and I have work tomorrow, so bye, I guess, for now.